Hola a todos y buenos días. A little bit of a reminder and a little clarification on your stem changing verbs that we've been learning in the last couple of lessons. So a stem changing verb is going to be conjugated. So it's going to be expressing the subject of the statement in the same way that we've learned how to conjugate in the present tense for the AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. What is going to change is now in the stem of the verb itself. So for example, in a verb like empezar, AR part, like we've learned, is the piece that we're going to use for conjugation. This makes it an AR verb. That's the piece that you remove and then you add the suffix to represent whomever is going to be doing that form. So for example here, yo empiezo, empiezas, empieza. Notice that those conjugation suffixes are still the same that we've been working with this whole time. Now, what we're learning now is that some of these stem changing verbs are going to be slightly different than the regular verbs in the stem. Okay, so what that means is that in a verb like empezar, the AR, again, is the conjugation part. So you remove that, and then the syllable right before it, that is the stem of the verb. And that stem is going to change, okay? So those are going to be the different categories that we've been working with. So you have the stem changings that are going to go from E to IE. So any stem that is an E, like empezar, is now going to change into IE, or the O to UE, like the verb volver, will change from the O of the stem to an UE. But again, the conjugations will stay the same. Okay, the stems are the ones that are going to change. Now, what we've noticed also is that these stem changing patterns are not going to affect the nosotros subject or the vosotros subject. So if you've had any high school experience with Spanish, some teachers refer to this as the boot verbs, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute. And the boot is because if you look at this particular chart, you can technically make a slight boot looking thing here. You're going to see it in a minute more clearly. So if it helps you see the pattern, I've included a handout for you guys to practice. So there's three different changes in your stems. We have the E to IE, the O to UE, and the E to I. Okay? There's three different categories. So when you are working with them, so if you look at them in the dictionary or in your v-text or in activities, they are going to be labeled to help you understand, oh, hey, by the way, this is a stem changing verb. And so what you'll see is that you'll see the verb, and then in parentheses, it's going to tell you what the change is. So empezar, remember, it's an E to IE, or volver is going to be an O to UE. So that's how you're going to visually see that a verb is stem changing. So if you ever are in doubt, look for this nomenclature, okay? And again, this is a lot of different verbs that are almost like an exception to the rule. So how can we keep those fresh in our memory, easy access, so that we can continue to practice them so much that they become like a second nature to know that they're stem changers, okay? So they shared with you some of the most common stem changing verbs in the E to IE section and in the O to UE section. And we worked on those last week. Okay, that's great to have that list, but for some of us, we're very visual. And so I'm including for you guys a handout, and I'm including the answer key as well. So this is completely optional for you to do, but like I said, some of us are very visual. So it's a particular handout that is going to allow you to see these changes, and it's going to allow you to repetitively fill in these charts so that you understand the stem changing process and remember and review the conjugation patterns, okay? So again, we have a section that has the E to I, which is what we are going to be working on this week. You have the U to UEs, the O to UEs, and then you have the E to Is. So the E to Is are a little bit bigger. And again, this is completely optional, but you are welcome to do that. And again, this week you're going to work on the last category of stem changing verbs, which is the E to I. And again, the conjugation piece is the same. What changes is the stem. So the E of the stem is going to now become an I, only in the yo, tú, usted, él, ella, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas. So again, into the boot. So when you're doing this particular handout, you'll see in the answer key, I've highlighted the boot. I've made the boot so that I can visually see it and get my mind thinking about these verbs in those categories. So you do not have to turn in any of the handouts, but I hope that it helps you look at them in a different light. Let me know if you have any questions.